Hello, you wonderful people, and welcome to another episode of Crime Centric. This being a show where I talk about crime dramas that I watch. For today's episode, I'm going to talk about the latest episode of City on the Hill. A lot of really interesting things went down in this episode, so let's break it down. Holy shit. I could save this to the end. Let's start off with Kathy's storyline. We have to, because that's right there in the forefront of my mind, that damn ending. Holy shit, dude. Okay, so first and foremost, we have Kathy, sneaking drugs into the prison and getting Tommy to sell them. Now, what was interesting is we got some lines about, like, oh, what happened to Frankie? He's like, have you told a kid? She's like, I haven't. I'm like, Frankie must have got in prison. Or either killed himself, I don't know. Because at one point in time, like, was it last episode, Jenny talked about the fact that she stopped visiting him. But that might have been the lie, because it's probably a thing of, oh, I stopped visiting him because he's dead. So, which is like, part of me wonders, is that why Jimmy's going above and beyond as he is? I mean, first and foremost, once again, he has no one. He talks about it. His family, his parents don't even want to talk to him. His ex and their children, as far away. Even Florida isn't far enough away. And it's like, the only person who believed I wasn't an asshole and a screw up was my brother, and I screwed him over. So Kathy, you and the kids, you are literally all I've got in this world. So he's going above and beyond to help them. But part of me wonders, and he doesn't, so I don't know if even he knows what happened to Frankie, but if he did, that'd probably make him feel even more guilty, and that might lead into why he wants to help them so much. But nevertheless, so she's getting money on that side of things, but she goes back to Jimmy to get more, because it's like, all right, you give me more money, I'm going to give me more heroin to sell, which obviously for him is like, I already fronted you the first bit, like, I need some money back to kind of, these are the people you don't screw around with, especially when he saw Ton beat up a kid, end up taking the clothes right off his damn back for, like, coming up short. So it's like, I can't mess with these people. So he's trying to tell Ton later on, like, okay, I've got this circumstances, like, if I can get, you doing this 1,000 here, 1,000 there, it's like, dude, you hook me up now, we could get this shit rolling in Southie, and I could get you 10,000 a week. That way the cops are already up in your business now, but if they compromise your money, at the very least you'll have a steady flow of cash that they won't know where that's coming from. So that'll kind of be such a separate beast that they won't know. Even if they mess with your money on this side of things, I'll be bringing you in this amount of money. So obviously Tom gives him the lowdown, and he gives it to Kathy, and it's like, come on, like, I just need to know that you're going to pay me back. But, like, Kathy kind of guilts him into this, because not only does she have to take care of the kids, she also, is potentially losing the salon, so she has to have lawyers. And it's like, the reason why I'm in this situation is because you screwed me over, so you kind of owe me. So playing on his guilt. So, but then when the time comes, it's like, all right, you got that money? You need it. I need it. It's like, all right, meet me at the park. And then she's like, all right, actually, I don't have the money. My initial thought is, oh, she's going to screw you over. She's got the money. She's going to keep it, because it's like, I need this money to take care of my family. So I figured that might be what it is. So it's like, oh, I'm keeping the money, and I'm hoping you get your ass either killed or your ass kicked. And then she's like, don't worry, they're not going to kill you. And I'm like, what, are you about to? And the moment he turns around, she's got the gun, pop. I was like, no way. And I was like, is she going to finish the job, or is she just going to leave him there bleeding? Because I did, and another tap, so I'm assuming the tap was to the head. It's like, yo, that ending shocked me. I didn't expect her to kill him, and especially, but I guess for her, my initial thought is she can't let Jimmy just run about, because he's a reminder of everything. Once again, whatever happened to Frankie, whether it is that Frankie just straight up got killed in prison, whether he ended up committing suicide, whatever the case may be, that just probably pushed her over the edge. She's like, fuck you, Jimmy. You screwed everything up in my life. You think like, oh, I tolerated help from you because I needed the money, but now I don't need you anymore, because I think she is probably going to start dealing with Ton herself. It's like, no. We don't need Jimmy to be the middleman. I'm be the one that you talk to from now on. Like, this is going to become my operation. I'll get you your money, because it's like, she's already going to help. Like, no, it's like, no, Jimmy, you're done. You're not going to benefit from this. So it's like, wow. I mean, that's also the thing too. Episode 3? Yo, also, because like the opening credits are so misleading, because the same thing happened to Kevin Chapman's character last season. It's like, oh, he wasn't in the entire season, he was in a couple episodes and he got. So it's like, just because you're in the opening sequence don't mean you're going to be kicking it around forever. And I guess it's meant to be misleading like that. Not unless she didn't go for a headshot and he just got shot again and he's still alive. But I'd assume just the angle of the gun looked like that was a headshot. But it's like, I wasn't expecting Jimmy. I would have expected maybe by the end of the season he was going to get what's his. It's like, but man, episode 3? Really? damn, son, that's crazy. Like I said, my initial thought is she's trying to, it's like retribution for one, but also I don't need you anymore. I'm going to handle the situation myself. So she probably has an idea where he's getting the drugs from. Or maybe it's just, hey, I got enough money to take care of what I need to take care of. Beyond that, bump you, Jimmy. I can't be around you anymore. Like, you're a scumbag and no amount of apology is going to make up for what you've done to my family. So you might want to try and be there. We might be the only family you got, but you ain't our family. So it's definitely going to be interesting to see what Kathy ends up doing going forward from here. I mean, I literally ended the episode with her all kind of happy and everything with her kids, because it's like, I guess that just kind of alleviated some of that stress. I don't know. It's really going to be interesting to see what the hell Kathy does in the next episode. Another angle to this episode is, let's focus on Jackie's side of things, which is kind of interesting. That basically Jackie is trying to screw DeCourcy over before DeCourcy can screw him over, because he knows DeCourcy's coming after him. So it's like, I got to get you before you get me. As he said, like last episode, of like, go straight from fuck me to fuck you type of. He said something along that nature last episode. So he's trying to fuck DeCourcy before DeCourcy can fuck him, and it's such an interesting thing where he goes about it. Like the kid that DeCourcy released the first episode of the season, Ricky, he's trying to like use that as a lie and say like, oh, DeCourcy has another informant named Miguel. Like he released Ricky to kind of help out this, and to keep quiet about this informant he has, Miguel, that's related to a gang case. Jackie's just BSing. He's just trying to connect dots that aren't connected, because he's done everything. He tried to dig into DeCourcy's past. Didn't work out for him last episode. Now he's trying to do it again, not necessarily working out, because once he goes to Ricky, but Ricky's like, nah, DeCourcy was good to me. Like, I'm not going to screw over like him. He gave it me a chance, because I obviously, for Jackie, it's like, no, that guy, that cop, oh, he's going to give you more shit if you don't stop. So if you don't help me, that cop's just going to keep bothering you. And next time, you might not even make it to the station. So, but it's like, nah, Rick, he's good people. Goes home, lo and behold, his mom's talking to Jackie, and Jackie's like, tell him to do this. And she's like, yeah, he will. And he's like, Mom, don't make me lie. That's the effed up thing that he's like, Mom, please don't make me lie. And she's like, who are you raising your voice to? And she kind of snapping on him like that. It's like, you should want your son to not like lie and screw someone over, just because it's like, yeah, he helped me out. But it's also like, she's out there saying like, you don't pay any rent. Like we make you we get you into that good school. You don't have no job. You don't pay nothing around here. It's like, damn, like him kind of getting ripped into like that. She's like, oh, with your gang friends and stuff like that, or in the corner and stuff like that, who you want to talk to? You going to talk to me like that? And you had this look on Jackie's face like, shit, and he bounces. And then it's like, oh, you feel bad for this kid. You created these circumstances. I mean, once again, that's Jackie's MO. Like, you mess up other people's lives. Like, him and his, let's be frank, his fuck shit like ends up rippling out. I mean, once again, that's kind of what happened to the Benny thing. It's like him operating the way he does has consequences. And I think in that moment, I immediately was like, I think he feels bad for that kid, because he knows what it's like to have a complicated mom relationship. Because he talked about his mom a little bit last season, about the fact that she's the one that burned down their house. So his mom might have been a little bit crazy. He actually talks about his dad this episode, but like because obviously Benny like had talked about the fact is, because obviously a part of like her ninth step is making amends to people. She talked to her mom, but she can't talk to her dad, because once again, Jackie doesn't want her to apologize, because it's like, no, what happened to you wasn't your fault. It was actually my fault. Because I treated Clay like shit, he decided to retaliate and go against you. So I think that's what, like, he feels guilt about it. It's like, I'm the one that should be apologizing, and he can't bring himself to say anything about it. And he just doesn't want Benny to apologize to him, because it's like, you did nothing wrong. It's my fault you ended up in that circumstance, you know? But because she doesn't quite understand, like, why she's like, yeah, she just chalks it up like, yeah, my dad's not really big into the whole feelings thing. So that's kind of all she kind of chalks it up to. But even later on, like, she's talking to her dad, and Jackie talks a little bit about, because for her it's like, I know why mom and Nan and her dad, it was like, oh, because I asked that I think last episode, wondering whether or not Benny knew about why Ginny was so pissed at her mom, and it's like, I think she knows like what happened to her between her and her dad. And so it's like, well, between Ginny and her own dad. I was like, okay, it seems like that's what that's kind of implying. But it's because for her, it's like, if I want to understand why you're such an asshole, Dad. Because for her, it's like, maybe that'll explain why I'm such a mess. And he kind of talks about his dad. His dad was a drunk, and his dad's dad was a drunk, and so on and so forth. It's like, going back, like, it's just part of our DNA. The fact of the matter is, he talked about the story of like when his dad like got so drunk, this lady took him in. and it's like he had frostbite on his feet and couldn't walk, and it's like he ended up losing his job again. So it's almost like he's saying like, oh, we're kind of doomed because of what's in our DNA. Which she's like, what about your mom? And he's like, yeah, that's enough for tonight. It's like, yeah, his mom is a whole other shitstorm. And that's the question. Like, is he not talking about it because, yeah, dealing with one aspect of my family is bad enough? Or is it his mom is that much worse in his eyes that she might be the key to why he is as messed up as he is? Because as he talked about, because his dad couldn't work, he's the one he's been working, to kind of support the family and stuff like that. And he's never stopped since. He's just been working his entire life to kind of support the family. So his mom might be a shitstorm within her own self. So it's like, damn, that's interesting. Especially because DeCourcy stopped by because he had found out Siobhan, like, whoa. Jackie stopped by how many times? 2 or 3 times last season. I was like, whoa, you didn't say anything to me? And so he decided to stop by Jenny's, and he's, having casual conversations with her. And then he kind of brings it to the Clay Roach thing, and I was like, oh. Because even later on, Jenny was like, oh, he was kind of saying Clay Roach like I'm supposed to know it. And I'm like, because at first I was like, does DeCourcy know? Because I figured he had known on some level, because the moment Benny came in the room being like, oh, hi, he was like, yeah, I gotta go. Because I was like, so you know what happened to Benny, but I didn't know if he had connected the dots to Clay Roach until Jackie confronted him. Because Jenny ends up telling him, yeah, DeCourcy stopped by, and he asked about Clay Roach, and like, what'd you say? She's like, nothing. He was asking about, like, I was supposed to know, but she's like, but, that cockroach, it was something, she said something I don't remember. Basically, that prick got what he deserved. So Jenny now knows what happened. Because it was like, yeah, at the hospital, you said whoever did this to Benny doesn't have him long to live. And she understands. And she kisses him because it's like, you got revenge for our daughter. So, but he confronts DeCourcy. And I love he cut DeCourcy off at one point. He's like, this little back and forth that we normally do. He's like, no, we're not in this right. We're not having that moment right now. You stay away from my family. But it's like DeCourcy's like, oh, here you are threatening. It's like, you screwed over so many people. You don't have the connections. You're just too old for anyone to be scared about. Because DeCourcy pieced it together. It's like, you're someone that couldn't even protect your own daughter. He's like, but I pieced it together. Your bullshit, the way you've handled stuff for so long, came back and your daughter suffered the price for it. Paid the price for it. So DeCourcy just bounced, but then there's that look at Jackie's face, and he was gripping his fist, but he lets go, because what DeCourcy said is what Jackie's been feeling the entire time. Ever since he found out Clay was responsible for this, he's been feeling that guilt, and it just comes back bubbling to the surface every time Benny wants to talk and wants to kind of make amends and stuff like that. It's like, no, you have nothing to make amends for. I do. So I think all of that in itself really sits and weighs on him. And so the fact is, he just kind of uncrumpled his fist and just kind of was like, which, granted, the way things are currently set up, Ricky is still going to lie on DeCourcy about Miguel, even though, once again, that's not even him. That's his mom doing that, once again, and that's because of Jackie. So you never know how the ripple effects of these things are going to go playing out, because obviously DeCourcy, talks to Chris, but Chris is like, yo, because he kind of got blindsided by that whole situation. So for him, it's like, I'm on the up and up. So you think I'm just going to profile someone? It's like, tread carefully next time. So Kelvin is having a whole conversation with his mom about what happened. And he was like, nah, I'm like he's trying not to say too much because he knows not to, because it would indict him and his brother. But his mom's trying to figure out, like, why did that happen? It's like, yeah, it just, the cops are rolling up on her. She's like, us? Who else is in the car? He's like, no, I meant me. I'm so tired, Mom. I just said I meant me. So she knows he's hiding something. And the moment he comes out the room, Anton's looking at him, kind of giving a nod, like, good, you kept your mouth shut. Like, not letting Mom know what's up. But he ends up talking to Chris. And, DeCourcy's trying to talk to him about, like, there were 10 different bullet casings. So the bullet that killed Raina could have come from you. And I think up to that point, Kelvin had never really thought about that. Like, it's a 1 in 10 chance. Like, somebody during that shootout is responsible for her dying. It came from your gun. I think what's going to probably end up happening is, I don't think it's going to come from Kelvin's gun. I think it's going to come from Anton's gun. Maybe, maybe not. I think the tragedy behind it would be even more if it was Kelvin's, because this is Anton's operation. I think it's only rightful that he be the one responsible, because he's the one that set so much stuff in motion in his own right. So I think it should more so fall on him than it does Kelvin. But obviously, of course, he's trying to get him to talk. But obviously Siobhan shows up, And obviously it's the conversation of that basically the cops look at you as two different type of people. The type of people they have to, serve and protect, and then the people that they have to protect everyone else from. They've already made up their mind who you are. You have to basically be twice as smart, twice as good to basically not even get on the radar, like to, not fall into like their traps and everything. And that ends up obviously being a big debate and argument between DeCourcy and Siobhan. He tries not to go down that route because he's like, honestly, if I do, I'm going to get so agitated, I'm not going to want to eat, so let's leave it at that. Obviously, she talks about running for city council, which he's like, sure, but she's like, bringing up Josh, which Josh was like, hey, I'm sorry about before, I'll apologize to DeCourcy, but you kind of need our support, because it's like, rather than our two minority groups, the black community, the gay community, like, rather than it just us being like cannibalizing each other over scraps, we need to come together, because even with all the black votes, you're still going to need our votes to kind of help get you in that position. So it's like, all right, but I will apologize to DeCourcy. And obviously DeCourcy's still kind of on, fuck Josh, because he backstabbed him and everything. It's like, I should have come to you at first before, like, I should, it was disrespectful of me to call on the phone and stuff like that. It's a complicated thing of like, yeah, everyone comes apologizing when they need something. So, maybe in the grand scheme of things, it is for the greater good, but still. But obviously for Siobhan, she feels like their lives not moving forward. And obviously for him, it's like, I was always there to support you when I paid the rent, like when you were trying to get further in your, like, I think at school and trying to get a career started. It's like, I never held it above your head. She's like, yeah, but you are now. And because for her, she feels like DeCourcy, ever since the Ryan case, it's like you just kind of been stuck, and I get it, you're stuck on survival, but like you're not moving forward, and I want to move forward. And he was just kind of like, yeah, it's whatever you want, Siobhan. That for him, it just feels like it's for him. I think it's a situation like, because for her, it's like we used to be of the same mind, now we're drifting apart. It's kind of based. She's saying that what kind of someone had told her, but I think it's just like for her, it's like you're so stuck in the past and where you want to be and everything that yes, we both want. Our true norths are very different of what we want. And for her, it's like, yes, I want a family and all this stuff, but you're so stuck in, kind of survival mode that we're not living our lives. But for him, it's a thing of, why can't you just understand my perspective? It's both of them not kind of viewing the world through each other's eyes, not walking a mile in the other's shoe, not really understanding each other, empathizing with each other's circumstances. I think that's what that kind of, sadly comes down to. So, it is interesting about we saw James, the dude that was stepping to Grace last episode, that Anton kind of put in his place. Apparently she kicked him out, so we'll see what kind of happens on that front. He's out there threatening her again, which is so interesting. It's like, Anton shut you up last episode, whose mom that is, so why? But I guess it's like, I guess that's going to motivate him even more to be like, you know what, I'm going to do something to you, but I'm not going to let Anton know it was me that was responsible. We'll see if he if he's just all bark or no bite type of situation. But I get the feeling like they might be setting that up for something. But Kelvin had even brought that up to Anton, like, what if one of the bullets was ours? Because obviously Anton's like, we got to kill Junior. And he was like, come on, there's too much heat on us right now. How about we just put it out there that he's a snitch? Basically let the streets handle it. Basically because his gang will be like, oh, you're a snitch. And they'll toss him out. So he'll be kind of left to his own devices. Like someone else will get him by then if they find out he's a snitch. But for Anton, it's like, there's some things that are a little more, you have to handle personally. Because for him, it's a thing of, the fact is that it's like, Kelvin got dragged into this. You kind of were questioning everything because of his actions. So it's like, it made it personal the moment he dragged my family into it. So, I don't know. But also, as I brought up earlier, that one of those kids came up short and Anton beat him up and stole his clothes. But even Kelvin was like, really? His clothes? Anton, he was like, don't be soft, Like, that's just, like, kind of seeing that. Because, once again, you see that, like, Kelvin's the one with more of the conscience than his brother is. Like, I mean, it might be that thing of just that fight or flight type of thing. You do what you got to do to get by. So that might be Anton's thought process of like, everybody's out there to get theirs. I'm just trying to get mine. I'm trying to look after mine. So until I'm willing to do whatever I have to protect my family, look after my family, so he might look at like, oh, I got to do what I got to do. I'm not going to let my conscience like hold me back. Whereas Kelvin ends up being different circumstances. Because, like I said, there's a lot of moving pieces. Because you have Karen coming to Home Dude about DeCourcy, and it's like, oh yeah, all this stuff about DeCourcy sounds like stuff coming from Jackie Rohr. So, like, you know, she's like, oh, he's not good at his job, or he's incompetent. And it's like, right, both you and DeCourcy are kind of a migraine for me, but you keep thinking that DeCourcy is incompetent. We'll see kind of where that is at the end of the day. Obviously, like, she went to go visit Holly, but apparently because of Holly's condition, she may never be, I think she said, may never be able to walk or talk again. And she went to go see Salvi about, it's like, right, because she asked Holly, it's like, were you with Jackie Rohr when you were partying? And so it's the thing of, he's trying to be like, immediately like, nah, I'm just trying to save your time because I know you're busy. So, yeah, I have no idea what that's all about. And Jackie Rohr was your partner for 20 years. Yep, something like that. So for her, she's trying to get some answers. Oh, what about the tapes? The technology here. It's not the bureau, so the technology is not that good. So for her, it's like, if I find out that you had something to do with this, that you did help out Jackie with this, she's like, I'm going to make, because for her, it's like, Jackie must have something severely on you for you to basically help him out. It must, whatever he's got on you must weigh a lot more than your conscience for you to just be just smoking a cigarette and just kind of being so cool under pressure, you know, because he's protected, because whatever he's got on Jackie protects Jackie from taking him down, because it's like, hey, but there's still that conversation of, you take me down, I'm going to take you down swinging with me, you know? So, but Karen's kind of got a hard on for him now, basically being like, yo, if I find out you're responsible, your suffering is only going to begin because of, you know, what happened to Holly and everything. So I guess she's kind of more middle fingers to, she was already kind of like bleh about Jackie beforehand, but Jackie made a promise to her to use this whole Miguel thing against Ward. So I guess she's kind of shifting sides a little bit now that she's kind of coming after Jackie. Because to be fair, when Jackie brought that up, it was kind of complete and utter BS because he hadn't solidified things yet with Ricky, but now he does. So like I said, we'll see how that plays out next episode, because you know that's probably going to come to the forefront. It's what happened with Ricky. So, well, the whole Ricky Miguel thing. So, like I said, a lot of really interesting things. I'm so curious to see where all of this is going to end up taking us going forward into the next episode, because I know things are just going to heat up more. A lot of blows were kind of dealt on both sides with Jackie and DeCourcy. Oh yeah, I didn't even talk about it. Like, Siobhan found out she's pregnant this episode, which obviously there's a conversation of like her doctor being like, you know, stubborn men like him are going to change their tune the moment they find out that you're pregnant. It kind of changes the whole story. And, you know, Siobhan's like, I hope so. And we'll see if let's see if DeCourcy is going to be happy. You hope that's going to be the case, that, yeah, it might not be what they were planning or necessarily it's what she wanted right now, not what he wanted right now. But at the very least, you know, maybe he'll be a little bit happier about it. We'll see. Also, Jenny got, you know, that choir she came upon at the church or whatever. She's getting signed up there. Well, she's singing there now, so I guess we're going to be seeing more of that as things progress. But like I said, I cannot wait to see what happens next episode. But really, that's all I'm going to talk about. So the next time we meet, be happy, be safe, live life to the fullest, and enjoy it. Good day, and goodbye.